In the rugged frontier of the Yukon, time isn't just money, it's gold. For Kevin Beets, the clock isn't ticking, it's roaring. After 5 relentless months in the frozen north, he scraped together 470 ounces of gold. Not bad, but not enough. The season is almost over. Just 4 weeks remain, and Kevin doesn't just want to survive. He needs to hit 1,000 ounces to even dream of breaking even. It's not just about gold. It's about proving he can do this without leaning on his father's name. Kevin Beets isn't just trying to prove he can mine gold. He's trying to prove he belongs in a lineage carved out of the Yukon's toughest terrain. As the son of Tummy Beets, a man known across the gold fields for his iron will and larger-than-a-life presence, Kevin carries more than ambition. He carries expectations, and that expectation weighs more than any excavator ever could. This year is different. For the first time, Kevin is out from under his father's direct command. This isn't just another season. It's his test, his proving ground. Together with his partner, Faith, he didn't just step into the business. He went all in. $2 million sunk into equipment, land, labor, and the dream of building something that lasts. But dreams have deadlines. And with less than 4 weeks left in the season, reality is bearing down. It's just been a nightmare with downtime this year. What we need next is some really, really good gold to catch back up. They're not looking for a modest profit. They need nearly $1 million in gold just to avoid disaster. And with breakdowns already bleeding away precious hours, there's no margin left. There's no more time for things to go wrong. To survive this, Kevin knows there's only one move left. Push harder than ever before. Keep the machines running. Keep the dirt flowing around the clock. No matter what, there's no guesswork in Kevin's plan. He's not banking on luck. He's banking on grit and strategy. During daylight, the responsibility falls on Brennan Roll, Kevin's trusted foreman. Brennan is more than reliable. He's relentless. He doesn't just pay dirt, he attacks it. And every scoop he hauls from the claim carries the possibility of gold. The team pans the samples carefully, looking for those faint shimmering signs that tell them that they're in the right place. What they find gives them hope. Flecks of gold showing up in test pans. Tiny indicators that the extension ground may finally be paying off. But Brennan's real mission is about more than today's numbers. It's about building a stockpile big enough to carry the night shift through without stopping, because once the sun sets, everything changes. It looks like we got a pretty healthy pay pile stocked up down there for night shift. So I'm just going to finish up and hit camp for some dinner and go to bed. That's why Brennan works like a machine, digging endlessly and stacking the pile high beside the wash plant. He knows the reality. If the night crew runs out of dirt, production stalls. And if production stalls, the gold stops. And if the gold stops, so does the dream. When the last rays of sunlight slip behind the mountains, the operation doesn't pause. It shifts. Brennan finishes his shift and leaves behind a carefully built mountain of pay dirt. It's a solid pile, big enough to carry through the first part of the night. That pile is now the heartbeat of the next 12 hours. Kevin knows it. He's counting on it. Because when night falls, there's no room for error. The plant must run. The pressure doesn't let up. It multiplies. Hunter Canning takes over as the plant operator. She's sharp, experienced, and fully aware that every lever she pulls and every load she feeds affects the bottom line. This isn't about moving dirt. It's about extracting value ounce by ounce from every single ton. She knows that the slightest hiccup in flow can cause a ripple effect through the entire system. The sloughs, the mats, the water, all of it depends on steady, uninterrupted feeding. To support her, Kevin calls in reinforcements. Rick Johnson joins the team, bringing with him over 12 years of goldfield experience. He's the kind of miner who doesn't flinch when things go sideways. He's seen what happens when machines fail or the ground fights back. Now Hunter and Rick become the night watch, the guardians of the gold. Kevin lays it out plainly. The plant cannot stop, not even for a second. And with that, he walks back to camp, knowing full well that he may not sleep at all because the machines don't rest, and neither can they. The loader was trapped. The Yukon had claimed another machine. The risk wasn't just mechanical, it was financial. Every second that passed without the plant running meant potential gold slipping away, uncollected and unrecoverable. But Hunter was built for these moments. Oh boy, that's not something I wanted to happen tonight. If I can't get him out quick enough, I'm just going to have to leave him there and try to come back again 'cause I can't let this hopper go dry. And if I end up whitewashing, then we can potentially lose a lot of gold. She didn't panic. She didn't hesitate. She jumped into action, her focus razor sharp. First, she loaded enough pay dirt into the hopper to keep it running for 8 minutes. That gave her a small, precious window, just long enough maybe. Then she raced to the crew truck and pulled out a heavy-duty cable. The air was cold, the ground unstable, and the pressure mounting. But she moved with calm determination. She hooked the cable onto Rick's disabled loader. Across from her, Rick tightened his grip, ready to apply tension. The machines groaned under the strain. The mud clung stubbornly to the steel. For a moment, nothing moved. It seemed like the earth itself was refusing to let go. Then traction. With a violent lurch, the loader snapped free. Just like that, the crisis was over. No one cheered. There wasn't time. Hunter turned on her heel and sprinted back to the plant. The hopper had to stay fed. The flow had to continue. The gold couldn't wait. That narrow escape could have cost them thousands of dollars, maybe more, but it didn't, not tonight. The Yukon night stretched endlessly, cold and quiet. But the crew didn't slow down, not even for a moment. Rick, who had only just been pulled free from the mud, returned to his loader without complaint or hesitation. He settled into the machine like it was an extension of himself and immediately resumed clearing the tailings with calm, practiced movements. His wheels churned across the darkness, pushing aside waste with the same steady rhythm as before, as if the near disaster had never happened. There was no celebration, no pause to reflect, because out here, survival depends on momentum. One break in the chain, one moment of hesitation, and everything could collapse. I'll take care of all that. Get back and feed that offer. Don't get stuck again, man. Yeah. Hunter remained locked into her task. Her eyes stayed sharp, her timing flawless. Every bucket she loaded landed precisely where it needed to. Each scoop of pay dirt dropped into the hopper like a heartbeat, keeping the lifeblood of the plant flowing strong. The machinery roared, separating gold from the earth and then starting over again. It was an unrelenting cycle. Dig, feed, process, repeat. No one spoke. There were no jokes, no stories, no idle chatter, but nothing needed to be said. Everyone knew the stakes. Eventually, the first faint streaks of dawn crept across the jagged peaks of the Yukon. The mountains caught fire with the rising sun, glowing orange and gold. But the beauty of it was lost on tired eyes. Kevin returned to the site, scanning the scene like a general walking a battlefield. The plant was still running. The pile hadn't run dry. The team had delivered. No breakdowns, no stoppages, not even during the chaos with Rick's loader. It wasn't flashy. It wasn't dramatic, but it was a win. Still, Kevin didn't let himself relax because in the Yukon, victories don't come easy and they never come free. The land always finds a way to push back, and sure enough it did. Just as the crew began to feel a glimmer of relief, the plant gave a shudder. A loud groan echoed through the site, deep, metallic, unmistakable. Then it stopped. Hey, he's quick. The pre-wash system had clogged. Oversized rocks jammed the flow. The pay dirt couldn't move forward. The plant sat still, gears grinding down into silence. Pressure in the sloughs began to rise, water building up behind the blockage. The flow that had kept their operation alive for hours came to a sudden jarring halt. This was the last thing they needed. Hunter didn't wait. There was no time to radio anyone, no time to ask what should be done. She acted immediately, climbing up into the machinery like she'd rehearsed this 100 times before. She knew the plant, knew where to look, knew how to move. Her hands worked fast, tugging free the obstruction and breaking apart the mass that had stopped the entire system. Her gloves scraped against cold steel. Mud smeared her sleeves, but she didn't slow down. Below, Kevin stood ready at the controls, watching every move. He didn't speak. He didn't interfere. He just waited, poised to restart the system the moment Hunter gave the signal. Minutes later, the blockage cleared. The plant roared back to life as if it had never faltered. The tension eased, but no one smiled. It wasn't a perfect end to the shift. Far from it. But they hadn't let the problem spiral. They hadn't let it cost them more time than necessary. And that in itself was a kind of quiet victory. With the clock ticking and the weather turning colder by the day, the crew settled into a rhythm forged by desperation and duty. There were no easy hours, no breaks long enough to forget what they were chasing. Each day blended into the next. Each shift blurred the line between night and morning. The machines kept grinding. The pay dirt kept moving. The roar of the plant became the soundtrack of their survival. The cold bit deeper. The exhaustion thickened. But they didn't stop. They couldn't. Then, after another punishing stretch of round-the-clock mining, it arrived. The moment of truth, cleanup, and able to keep going 24s, and if we really want to hit 1,000 ounces, that is what we're going to have to keep doing pretty much till the end of the season. Well, you still got the Beets blood in you, don't you? Oh, I make it work some. This wasn't just another end-of-week tally. This was the test, the chance to see if the extension ground they'd been mining was the answer to their season's prayers. The crew gathered silently. Kevin stood beside Faith. Brennan, Hunter, and Rick joined them. Each face was etched with fatigue, hope, and the quiet calculation of risk. The sell boxes were opened. The mats were washed. Every fleck of captured gold was funneled into the catch container, and then they saw it. The container wasn't just full, it was brimming. The crew gathers in silence as the cleanup begins. There's no music, no applause, just the slow measured movements of seasoned miners who know how much rides and what happens next. The gold is carefully poured into the scale and every pair of eyes is locked on the numbers. The process is slow on purpose. The count begins to rise 50 ounces, then 60. It climbs to 100. Everyone keeps watching. It hits 130, then 180, still going. At 190, there's a subtle shift in the air, and then finally, it lands at 205.58 ohms. It's their biggest cleanup of the entire season, but they're not done. Brennan steps forward with a second container. This one filled not with dust, but with nuggets. Large, heavy, unmistakably valuable nuggets. It's a rare sight in modern plur mining, where most gold is found in tiny flakes. These nuggets weigh in at another 4.140. When added together, the total haul for the week reaches 209.72 ounces. In just 1 week, they've pulled over $500,000 in gold from the earth. It's a staggering figure, and even more important, it pushes their season total to 680 ounces. That's a massive leap from where they started the week. It's more than a number. It's proof that the extension ground they gambled on is paying off, that they chose the right spot, that their non-stop efforts are delivering results. There's a flicker of celebration, smiles, nods, maybe even a quiet exhale, but it doesn't last long. The work isn't finished. The pressure hasn't lifted. It's only evolved. Despite this incredible haul, Kevin knows they're still short. They need more than 300 additional ounces to reach the finish line. And time, it's bleeding away fast. The season's end is racing toward them, and every day brings colder temperatures, tougher ground, and increased risk. Kevin feels the tension like a weight on his chest. This moment is critical, not just because of the gold, but because it's the first time everything he's planned, built, and led has come together in such a clear and undeniable way. The crew is working like a machine. The wash plant is holding strong, and the ground beneath them is finally giving up its treasure. This is validation. This is strategy turning into results. Every decision he made, every person he trusted, every change he implemented, it's all coming together. But still, it could fall apart at any moment. That's the cruel balance of mining in the Yukon. You can do everything right and still lose. In the Yukon, certainty doesn't exist. That's the harsh truth of gold mining. The ground doesn't care how hard you've worked. It doesn't care about your goals, your deadlines, or your dreams. It gives what it gives, and then sometimes it just stops. Kevin knows this. He's lived it. The rich pay dirt they're working now could dry up tomorrow. Machines that have survived hundreds of hours could fail in the next shift. And the weather, it's a wild card no miner can control. One cold snap, one heavy storm, and everything could grind to a halt before they even come close to 1,000 ounces. There is no space for slowing down, no time for easing off. They can't afford to coast. Not now. The wash plant must stay in motion day and night. Dirt must continue to move without interruption, and the gold, it must keep appearing in the mats, in the boxes, in the scale. Until that final ounce is weighed, nothing is safe. Not the investment, not the season, not Kevin's shot at proving he belongs in this world, is more than just Tony Beets' son. The numbers are closer now, but this is still a race against time, against exhaustion, against everything the Yukon can throw at them. And the Yukon never runs out of surprises. With just weeks left, every ounce feels heavier, every hour is shorter, but Kevin isn't chasing gold anymore. He's chasing proof that he's earned his title, that he can lead, fight, and survive, that he's more than Tony's son. He's Kevin Beets, the man who hit a record in the Yukon, and might just hit 1,000 before the ground freezes over.